It's your boy Glenn coming to you for the win. Yep, and welcome back to my channel, you guys. Once again, if you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and comment when done just to let me know that you're on with the winning squad right now. Let's get it going. Today I'm coming to you with a video about how flight attendants get paid and how much do they make. So come on in, let's dive right into it. Today I'm going to try to give you guys an umbrella of both regional and mainline airlines, just to give you guys an example of how things differ and what they make and kind of how things work for both of them. So bear with me and let's get this thing started. All right, to begin, I'm going to tell you guys how flight attendants even get paid. Flight attendants do not begin getting paid until that front boarding door closes before pushback, until that boarding door opens and the pilots have set the brake once we have landed. So all that time beforehand where we're boarding and doing pre-departure drinks and helping you guys get your seats situated and trying to figure out where the bags are going and if we have to check your bags and all those things, we're not getting paid for that. In all airlines, there's a time limit in which they want you guys to have each passenger seated and ready to push back to take off for everything to be on time, because if you're not on time, that costs the company more money. So it's really a lot of pressure on the flight attendants to get you guys in your seats as fast as possible and to get you guys all situated and safety ready so that we can take off and so that the flight attendants can begin getting paid. Another thing is, I don't want you guys thinking of the way that flight attendants get paid the same way as a person who has a 9-to-5 would get paid. Everything that we do and the way we get paid is completely different. Before I had this job, when I was over at Enterprise, I was working like 60 hours a week. That's virtually impossible to do 60 hours a week as a flight attendant, because we only get paid once again in the air. That's not going to be, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's virtually impossible. You would be basically flying every single day pretty much in order to accomplish that feat, and they have to be like all super long haul flights. So we get paid differently, and I'm gonna break that down for you guys as well. If you see me sweating, it's because it's hot here today and I am filming outside, as you can see, because there's a lot of things going on in my apartment right now and I just needed to get some space and need to get away. All right, so let's get it going. The average flight attendant flies around 70 to 90 hours a month, and most of them are within that range. Of course, there's some who may have been flying a lot longer and they get paid a little higher on the scale, that they can fly less and still make a good amount. And usually, typically, people who are newer, such as myself, and people who are newer than me, will fly a little bit more than that. I personally would try to average around 110 a month, just so I can have a nice size paycheck to support the family. So that's about the range that you'll usually get, though, around 70 to 90. Of course, some go over, some do less if they can if they have other means supporting their lifestyle. But that's also another thing that's beautiful about being a flight attendant, is that the schedules are usually very flexible, that you can do other things with your life to try to supplement your income in the way that you will like to live your lifestyle. So first I'm going to start with talking about the regional airlines, and I want to break this down to the best of my ability. Once again, I've never flown for the regional airline, but through research, I'm just going to break down how the numbers that I found on one of their carriers. So upon research, I found out that the average for a first year regional airline employee, they're making around $18 an hour, which isn't really too bad. That started off, so $18 an hour. Then I believe I saw that they get a little raise after 6 months, which is usually around their probational period, so they get a little raise right after that, and then you get a raise every year. And for this particular one, I think all the way up to 25 years they get a raise, and from what I saw, that they topped out around $44 to $45 an hour, which is not bad. If you're traveling, you're getting paid to fly and go different places, and you're going to be making $44 an hour once you're topped out in 25 years just to be getting paid to travel. Like, who can complain about that? Now, from what I'm seeing, most regional air carriers have like a reserve system, and some mainline do as well, but now I'm just talking about the regionals. They have a reserve system where if you're on reserve, you're getting paid around 80 hours a month, whether you get used or not, to actually fly. And when you're in reserve, you're kind of just sitting around either at the airport or at home to see if they have a need for you to work a trip, like if someone calls off, or if they have IROPS, which is irregular operations, means a plane had a mechanical somewhere and something went down and they need extra flight attendants to cover a flight. If you're on reserve, you'll be the one who would cover those operations. In addition as well, from what I'm seeing, is that if it's available, you are able to pick up some trips to boost your income as well, if it is available for those certain airlines. Some airlines don't allow you to do that, but from the one that I'm researching, you can pick up some trips if necessary, if you're willing and able to swap with some people to give them a day off or something like that, to where you can get your guaranteed 80 hours because you're in reserve, and then if you're allowed to on your days off, then you can also add some extra income in that way, which is also a good thing if you're really about trying to get your coin. you know, that's something that's great for you. And the next topic that I want to talk about as far as regionals is per diem. Per diem is what you're getting paid once you started your trip. Let me use an example. If I am based in LA and I start my trip in LA and I have a layover somewhere else, all that time that I'm away from my base before that trip ends, you're also getting paid per diem when you're not in flight time. For this regional, $18 an hour in flight, but when you're not in flight and you're away from your base, the regional airline that I see right here, they're making $1.95 an hour. So for every hour that they're not at their home base, even when they're on their layovers, they're making $1.95 an hour, which is actually pretty good. You're making money to be hanging out at the beach or wherever your layover is. All right, you guys, so that's all the information that I can really dig up that was pretty relevant as far as regionals are concerned. Now I'm going to switch over to mainline airlines. So in this one, I'm going to use the airline that I work for as a prime example. They're all pretty much the same, all the way through and through pretty much. We all make around the same. So I'm just going to use my numbers and this is what you're going to get. So start off pay for a mainline airline is around $30 an hour, and that's about average. That's amazing. Like, you're starting off at $30 an hour to work your trips, fly somewhere, fly back, have fun while you're working with your crew. $30 an hour, and it's amazing when you see how much that adds up. When I started, it was $22.70 an hour. So I've been flying for almost 5 years. You can see how much of a jump has already increased for the people who want to start flying today. And once again, just like the regionals, every year that you work and you successfully go through, you do get a pay raise all the way up to 12 years here. And the top out pay that I researched and saw is around $67 an hour. So once you hit the 12-year mark, you be making $67 an hour per hour that you're flying, of course, while you're in the air, from when the door closes to where the door opens and the brakes are released in the main line. So you really have an upside and potential to make a lot of money depending on what type of trips and what type of routes that you really want to work. And you can book it. You can make a successful, great living off of being a flight attendant, which is something that I feel like most people don't know. I feel like most people think that we don't get paid much, but honestly, you can make as much as you want to make because our schedules are so flexible. You can pick up trips, drop trips, swap trips. You know, you can do a whole lot of things. If you want to work a lot, a couple months ago, I was like, I don't want to work a lot because I want to make sure that I can chill the next month. So I did like 140 something hours, and that was a really nice paycheck for that time. And I'm not even topped out. I'm only at 4-year pay. So you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine me being topped out at 12 doing that. The paychecks is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So this is something you guys should think about. In addition, we get paid by the position that we decide that we want to work. For me, I personally like to bid flight leader position because you get paid an extra $3.50 an hour. And to me, it is actually easier than being in the other positions. Although the flight leader is the one who is in charge of the main cabin if anything were to go wrong. But that also includes doing the announcements and, you know, just making sure that if there's any medical emergencies or any other type of emergencies, the flight leader is ultimately the one who has to break down everything, make sure everything's going in order, and communicate with the pilots to make sure that all things are tuned in and or recorded if necessary. But just think about that. You get an extra $3.50 an hour on top of whatever you make. So let's just say I'm a first year. After your probational period, you can be a flight leader once you're new. So after that 6 months of your probational period, that's $30 an hour. You just went up to $33.50 to do the same amount of trip that the other people are doing, but you just have to be in the front and make the announcements and serve first class on our airline. Let's just say you do 100 hours a month. That's an extra $300 right there. If you do flight leader for all your trips at 100 hours for that month, that's an extra $300 in your pocket just because you decided to do that one position. You're still gone the same amount of time as everybody else, but you're just working this one extra position. And like, that's what I like to value it as, so that it kind of helps out. It adds up, you know. It might sound like a little, but it definitely adds up. Going back to per diem on main lines, we do have the options to be domestic flights. That's like anywhere within the U.S. or international. We do go international at our airline. So with that being said, there is a difference in per diem. So the domestic per diem that I see here is $2.45 an hour. So like I explained to you before, that's anytime you're not at your base before you come back to your base to end the trip. Anytime you're going outside of you being in your flight, you're making $2.45 an hour on a domestic route. Whereas if you were to do an international trip, like I did Tokyo not too long ago, I was getting paid $2.90 an hour for the time that I was gone outside of the flight hours, and that was like a 24-hour layover. So I was basically getting paid to explore Tokyo, and I even brought my wife along on that one, and we had a good time. And shout out to our speaker friend who showed us around. Appreciate that. But you know, so $2.90 an hour is almost $3 an hour to hang around Tokyo and enjoy it all. If you want to watch that video, you can go check it out on the channel with the Wyndhams, the family channel. We had that one then. That's before I started this channel. Now, another thing that I want to break down to you guys is going to be how reserve works for my airline. We don't have full month reserves like some other mainline airlines and some of the regional airlines have. We only have 6 reserve days a month. So up until you're like probably 10 years, I'll say 8 to 10 years, depending on where you're based, because some people at my seniority that are based at different places that no longer have these reserve days, and I'm based in LA, so I'll have reserve days probably for like until I'm 15 years in, if I'm being completely honest. But like I said, we only have 6 of those a year, and the way that works is that you either are going to be where you're on call for the whole day where you're at, or they'll assign you standby, which you go sit in the airport for 4 hours, and if you're not used within those 4 hours, then you will be able to go home and have the rest of the day off. So those are the 2 different types that they'll have for you for your reserve days, and you have to do that 6 days a month, unless you can swap out of them. And like I said earlier, it's really flexible. You can swap out of your A days with other people for trips. So, you know, it usually works out one way or another for you if you really decide that you want to like make that work for you. So you're getting paid at your same hourly rate. If you're not used, you get about 4 hours and 45 minutes worth of pay for not being used at all. So that's actually pretty solid, especially if you're a new hire. $30 an hour, you're getting $4.45 time to not do anything but sit at home. Like, you really can't beat it. You can't complain. So with that being said, we have both a line and reserve, whereas other airlines, some you start off on reserve full month and then you switch over to having a line. Another way that you can get paid is through credit card sales, which if you've ever been in the airport recently, you can see that they have the people, you know, trying to push to sell those credit cards that you walk by. They try to stop you. And, you know, that's kind of their job, is to pretty much get people to get the credit cards. But we also have the option to promote and push the credit cards ourselves. But there's a lot of people who do, and you can make a significant amount off of the commission of getting someone to sign up for the airline credit card, which is a great deal. And I know a lot of flight attendants who do make a good amount of money. Some make more doing that than they do actually with flying. With getting people to sign up with the credit cards. But there are great benefits with those credit cards, as far as getting to the Sky Club Lounge or whatever it is, or having the points for airline mileage, depending on what you're using it for, and different things of that nature. So I would just say those are another way that you can do it. And as I mentioned before, this job is very flexible as far as the time and the hours that you can put in it. You can work as much or as little as you want. And majority of flight attendants do have other endeavors and other jobs that they are working to make money in, which if they want to. You know, some people can have a whole nother full-time job and do this flight attendant job as least as they want to, just so they can keep their flight benefits and their insurance for their family. And some people have enough money where they're just doing this for fun and they just want the flight benefits, and they just go traveling on their off days. So this job is very flexible, and the money is good if you decide that's what you want to do. Like for me, this is my full-time career at the moment, so I'm working a lot to support my family. So I do fly higher hours than the majority of people, but as I mentioned before, there's a good amount of people who fly under the 70 hours or even less than that. I know someone who flies literally 4 days a month because they don't need to fly for the money. They're just keeping their benefits. So there's a lot of things that you can do. So this is basically the breakdown on how flight attendants get paid and how much we get paid. So if you're ever on a flight and you're lollygagging on the boarding process and, you know, taking your time and holding up the line, don't. Because the flight attendants are here to help you get into the seat so we can get the plane out on time, and so we can finally start getting paid once that door is closed and the brakes released. So that's what I got for you guys today, and I just want to make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notification bells, comment down if you have any questions below. Let's get this community going, and I have to let you know that you have reached Glenn. Holla back at me again. Peace.